Blog Talk Radio.
November 23rd, 2019. You're listening to episode 2, Planes, Trains, Automobiles, and now Buses too. I'm your producer, host, neighborhood advocate, and friend, Stephanie Jackson, and this is the Salina Voice. Good morning. What a beautiful day it is today. I hope everyone tuning in right now has a wonderful Saturday and weekend ahead. The early bird gets the worm, they say. I once read that you should have a half a day's work complete by 10 a.m. in order to be truly successful. Of course, that's highly debatable, but I feel like 10 a.m. is go time. For my family who loves to sleep in on Saturdays, by 10 a.m. I'm going around opening curtains and hoping Mr. Golden Sun puts a spark and a smile on their cute little faces. I'd like to apologize to you guys for last week's hiccup. I only had one mic. I tried to use it on 2 platforms and it wouldn't allow me. I have since upgraded some recording equipment so I can get you better streaming footage at the meetings, a little bit clearer picture. And I'm going to continue to upgrade over the coming weeks, and my goal is to start season 2 in January. That will be a live viewing of the podcast as you saw in episode 1. But I'm going to finish out this season for the remainder of the 2019 in a podcast formula and hopefully start to hear back from you guys. If you want to chime in on any of the episodes, the number to call to be on air is 914-205-5504, or when you open up the Blog Talk advertisement that I give to you guys on Facebook, on my Twitter handle or even on the website, it will bring you right here to this episode, and there's an option for you guys to also chat with me. So all you have to do, you can do that anonymously by your Facebook name, I think, or your Twitter name or whatever. But if you want to ask a question or chime in, then you can also have that option. So I wanted to just get you guys all familiar with that right now so you're able to get comfortable over the next few weeks, and then we'll start back with the live broadcast of streaming the actual recording of the podcast with live interviews. So I hope everybody's feeling good and you're still with me. I wanted to get into some news that happened in the town of Salina this week. So, without further ado, the town of Salina is reminding everyone there is no street parking allowed from 10 a.m. to 8 a.m. November 15th through April 15th. Lights on the Lake is 30th year is underway. I'm so sorry, guys. I just messed up my whole newscast. The music didn't start, and it threw me off. I don't know if you're able to hear that. I'm not able to hear the news. So I'm going to just keep talking over it until it runs out. Just, again, technical difficulties. I'm not hearing speakers, but I hope you guys are. So, the town of Salina news. A woman who was found dead in her Salina home by her handyman does not appear to be suspicious. There was evidence of a fire in the home, but sheriffs are awaiting autopsy results to determine the cause. The town of Salina is reminding everyone there is no on-street parking allowed from 10 a.m. to 8 a.m. November 15th through April 15th. Lights on the Lake's 30th year is off and running and will be running until January 5th. Pricing and more can be found on the website lightsonTheLake.com. Congratulations to both Liverpool and CNS High School who have gone to states and many sports from volleyball, swimming, football. Many committed to colleges this past week and more. Tonight is a big night for CNS football. They are playing McQuaid Jesuit at Bragman Studio at 6 p.m. in the Class AA state finals. Let's go, North Stars. The New York State DOT held a public open house on Onondaga Lake Parkway Safety Enhancement Project at Chestnut Hill Elementary last Thursday. The plan would reduce part of the parkway from 4 lanes to 2. Town Supervisor Colleen Gunnop told Syracuse.com that she and others were concerned for the traffic and it could bring to Old Liverpool Road. The public can still send comments to the New York State DOT Region 3 office, 333 East Washington Street, Syracuse, New York, 13202, or via email to Cindy, CINDY.Bell, BELL, at dot.newyork.gov. And this has been your weekly news recap on the Salina Voice. I hope that there's still not music still playing from the news in the background on me right now. But so thank you guys so much for tuning in. This episode is called Planes, Trains, Buses, and Automobiles. And living in the town of Salina, we have our share of both with the Hancock Airport nearby, which, again, it was a busy week for the airport, too. And the biggest topic that we have right now is the bus garage proposal that we did discuss at the board meeting. There was some residents who spoke up in regards to this. And I've been trying to get some feedback from you. You guys voted to discuss the bus garage. So we'll get into that after we get into our bit with planes, because it's been a busy week at Hancock Airport. There was a Fort Drum resident who accidentally checked his bag with an empty machine gun case, C4, and knives. He was reboarded later that day and went to California. But I'm going to assume that being that it's Fort Drum, it was military, he was a military guy, and grabbed the wrong bag. But accidentally, and when you picked up the bag, you didn't ever realize that it might feel heavy or hard, and you went all the way through to the airport. That's insane, but glad that was safe. But last night I had a little bit of a scare. I live right, close to the runway, and there was a Delta flight heading from Boston to LA, which was diverted to Syracuse Hancock Airport and made a safe landing just after 7:30. The I-81 exit was blocked off as a precaution, and so was Malden Road because the troopers were there. That's what first made me see. Law enforcement, local fire departments, and emergency vehicles were dispatched to the scene. Thank you to all, but I was curious, with all of the alert broadcast systems that are available, like when we had the tornado warning because we lived in the past, we always talk about safety and protecting people. We naturally hope and pray for a successful landing, but an emergency landing is just that. It's an emergency. So I would like a warning because I live right next to the runway, and I mean, it's not unreasonable to consider that a plane could crash. I don't really worry about that. I see a million planes take off and land by me every day, and I sleep just fine. Even the military performs exercises by me. So this is just normal stuff that I see. However, accidents do and can happen, and last night my only alert was to the cops' lights at the end of my road, but the road wasn't blocked off. So it made me be more concerned to say, hey, what's going on? And I see aircraft. And it's like, okay, aircraft what? Like, what's going on? And after, the plane landed, everything was fine. Great, thank God. It still would be feasible to me to say, hey, let's send an alert out to the people who are in the path of this emergent landing plane, just in case. I certainly would love my cell phone to go off and send me a notification while I'm sitting in the living room that there is a plane having an emergency landing, so I can at least like look up to the sky and be a little bit prepared to get the heck out of the way. Versus sitting in the living room and then all of a sudden half of the house is gone, or far worse. So I'm certain that New York State or the National Broadcasting Alert System could implement something like that, like if there's a sky emergency, to notify more than just emergency personnel, but the people who are in the path of that. Let me know your opinions. If you want to get onto the chat room, you can do that. I just think that, safety first. I don't think an alert is something unreasonable. What are your thoughts? So, next let's get into the bus garage. It's been long overdue. Again, we had our hiccup last week. But I've gone to the board meeting. Last week's Town of Salina board meeting was very informative. If you didn't look on the Facebook page, you can see the live stream there. The meeting, goes through to talk about the task force, but there was some guest speakers at the very beginning, two town residents and also our new Third Ward Councilor, Daniel Cicerelli, who they presented some ideas, great ideas. Should the bus garage go in place for the people who are concerned? What might the town look into to keep the residents happy, to keep a peaceable? People are concerned mostly about the environmental impact and otherwise disturbing their quality of life. Again, I recommend you to listen to the board meeting to find out or catch up to where we're at. I was at the Neighborhood Watch meeting just Thursday and spoke with residents also on the bus garage. Many people feel opposed to it, although it is looking like, from my understanding, it is at the planning board. So the town of Salina was not able to accept the petition for the petition that Daniel had presented to them. It went to the planning board, and Daniel went to that planning board meeting this week. I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday, and presented that petition to them. And the bus garage didn't even show up. So I think that the common knowledge or what is being considered is that it's winter time. Not a lot of paving or anything can be done at this time. However, they're dragging their feet and thinking that it's not important, like this is just already a done deal. That's a little bit arrogant. Why would a bus garage want to move into your neighborhood and not sit down at the table to discuss with the residents? According to back in September, once it was removed from the plans to go to Cicero and proposed in Salina, it seemed that Ryan McMahon was very excited and happy with this decision. So naturally, I think the town of Salina would probably be wanting to have a good working relationship with Onondaga County and make that happen. And it could bring a lot of money and commerce if the people who are taking lunch breaks are in our area. Will it create jobs? That's we need to know this. Do they already have their staff, or are they going to be just really doing nothing besides taking up space and causing pollution? Because it's not busing our students here. It's busing the city of Syracuse students, and there are people who live, behind the bus garage where every morning 180 buses are going to be starting up their engines every day. Nothing you can do about it. It's not going to go away. And those were some valid points that Daniel had made up at the board meeting. And, of course, the voice of natural people in the area who are concerned. So At the neighborhood watch meeting, I talked to a couple other people who lived over by Brookfield and would also are highly objectable to it. Um, Somehow, some way, whether it be in the form of petition, whether it be in written form, vocal form, if you have opposition to this, you have to speak up. Nothing can come of it other than what it's going to be if you don't use your voice and you don't speak up. So I'm trying to create a platform for you to do that, to gather your thoughts, let your voice be heard so that they can be presented in a more formal fashion, because it's all about you guys in the community that's really going to be affected, okay? The town of Salina as a whole, it could be very beneficial. But to the residents of Mattydale, maybe not so. And we got to look at some of those impacts, and I think that you guys deserve that, and you deserve a voice on that. So I do still want to hear from you and what your thoughts are and your concerns are. If you want to chime in now, you can call me at 914-205-5504, or you can also join the chat group, which is here where we are live on air currently. Now, as you know, I've been trying to stay involved, keep you guys informed, and this is all relatively new, starting this up, but I wanted the Facebook page, to be informative of any news headlines that may be coming out, any pressing concerns for you, the residents of the town of Salina, for you to also get more involved in the way that your town and your government is ran by giving you information that you're not able to get if you don't go. I think that informed voting is important. Of course, voting is important, but informed voting is really important. And this year in the elections, we didn't have great coverage of the candidates. Some local candidates made themselves present as where they should be at board meetings and neighborhood watch meetings and community meetings. And others who ran, you never heard of or saw. So I wanted to have this platform to be able to connect us all. We all live in different neighborhoods where we're affected by different things at different times. And some tips and advice and changes can be made through community. It's really, your voice is important. It's what really matters. And I know that we all can't be there, but sometimes it's really important that we all do show up, to show how many people are affected by decisions that are made by our government. And that means from the smallest level to the biggest level, as we currently see in the world around us now. But in our quaint little area, there's much to be considered, because we already have our planes overhead. We have trains going and bringing their cargo down through Lake Creek. And now a bus garage that doesn't belong to our neighborhood, but it looks like it's going through. It looks like the proposals kind of really getting ready. They're looking at groundbreaking to happen in, I believe, April. And so they didn't show up to the planning meeting. I guess it wasn't important enough for them to do that. It wasn't important enough. They just figure it's probably a done deal, and perhaps it is. Perhaps it's a done deal, but it will take something really important to make them change their mind. And do they care about you or not? How important is this to you or not? These are the things you have to consider, because one person such as Daniel is a voice. Yes, he can show up with a petition, but if you're not there sharing the same sentiment, and your neighbor's not, and their neighbor, and everyone who will really be impacted, who wants to stand out and oppose this, You gotta do a little bit more, because otherwise this is gonna happen, and your quality of life will be affected. And it's a lot in the town. You would want the town to consider those property values. Well, the task force is being revamped to address some of the issues that are going on. That reminds me, not to get off topic, but I am looking to see if I'm able. You cannot speak at the task force meetings, but it is public. It's open to the public so that you're able to sit in and listen. So I am going to look at, if you guys would be interested, you could let me know again in chat room or call me up. Just let me know if you would like to. Oh, excuse me. I just, again, lost my train of thought. Let me revamp myself here. Back to the bus garage, back to the town of Salina. If you would like for me to stream those task meetings, geez. Sorry. And I'm going to try to get permission for that if there's of interest. If there's no interest to find out what the task force is working on or forming, then I won't. But let me know, please, because I will definitely make sure that I get to those board meetings so that you know what is the town of Salina is deciding on and what the residents might be speaking up on. It's important to stay involved. I know that in some other community groups, we're able to talk and neighbors get on other neighbors for their thoughts and views and opinions if it's not all one way, but I encourage both. I encourage business owners to come forth, talk about why you think that this is wonderful, that you think that it will generate money or funds to the Mattydale community, and that you could have another resident at the town meeting brought up about sound barriers and that they didn't have to look terrible. So I believe that there's like working solutions, but we got to talk about it. So it's really important for you guys to get your voice on paper, call me up, call Daniel up, send him a message, contact the town so that they'll end up probably forwarding it to Daniel because he's championing this. And, really just let your voice be heard. Otherwise, you're right, it won't matter. And you can't really cry about it then. You can't be upset with the way things are run if you don't get yourself involved. So thank you for being with me and staying informed. I know that this wasn't flawless of an episode still, but I'm working on it. I want to still bring you the best. And I'm working super hard. I'm not going to, shoot myself in the foot, but I'm working very, very difficultly hard to bring back the Mattydale Vikings and football and cheer to the area. We're in the very beginning stages. Andrea, the owner of Dee's Diner, and myself are working diligently with CNY and the town of Salina and trying to make this happen as a 2020 goal. So we really want to keep the community involvement going. I certainly do. In addition to trying to get my neighborhood people watching the park to make sure that the baseball side of things is being watched and taken care of and looked over. I appreciate everybody for listening to me and taking my advice because now we have a safer place for our children to play without vandalism and damage happening to the parks after dark. And that's because I was going to the neighborhood watch meetings. I was getting the wonderful information that they give to me so that I could pass it back to my neighbors and we could actually do something about these issues that are happening. Are they perfect? No. There's dark corners of every park and so on and so forth. But for the most part, the trouble that we had seen has drastically died down because we've all made a decision that if we see some children or adults after 9 p.m. when the park is closed, someone's going to call the cops on you because there's signs everywhere that says you're not supposed to be there. So you'll just be asked to leave. And just doing that over the summer it's sort of like sent out a little message like, man, this really stinks. What? No sense in going out and hanging out at the playground or on the basketball courts or in the gazebo to do drinking or drug use or whatever was going on, that we found evidence of after the fact. It's not really happening anymore. And so that's the importance of community involvement. That's why I'm doing this, is because I want you guys to stay getting involved, not necessarily to where I am, going to the meetings, going to the games, and so on and so forth. I mean, I know that that's a lot, but I want to share those experiences and pass on that information to you, so that you can make informed and sound decisions, and when it's time to vote, and also to find out what's going on in your community. I think you can see on the player that's flashing by that you can see the Maddie Dale pancake breakfast that the boys are playing tonight at 6 p.m. Many other things. I'd like to do that on each episode. If you want to send me your flyers, you can send them to me at thesalina.voice@gmail.com. So that way our viewers are able to see what's going on and have some fun on the weekends in the area. Lights on the Lake is a big deal. I think we're going to go maybe tonight. It's a little bit more expensive on the weekend, but the kids just really love that, and the Onondaga Lake is just a really beautiful park and something that we're really, really lucky to have in the community. And again, it takes the whole community to come together and make these things happen. And to wrap it up on the bus garage topic, that's what you have to do. If you want something to change and not go forward, you really got to make some noise. So for those of you in opposition, I hope that you're able to come together, talk to each other, use those outlets that I said, so that way your voice is able to be heard from the planning board, and they would consider you guys. Consider it. Even if it goes through, at least make some things to try to make you happy. That's important. But if you don't do anything, if you don't say anything, then it just doesn't matter, And I don't know, anything that you guys want. I'm going to sometimes do votes on Facebook. If there's something that comes up that's wild or crazy, then we can talk about that. And please feel free to always comment on the page. I know that there's other apps. I've been using Nextdoor, and a lot of my neighbors are on there, and a lot of you who listen in here or follow the page, I appreciate it. But I kind of really still like the Facebook page and platform, because it kind of gives you the options of everything to connect, publicly, privately, live, in a chat format. However, it doesn't have all of the broadcasting options that you would. It's just sort of like a phone service. And for the quality I would like to bring you, I had to upgrade a lot of my equipment, and that's why we're still just going to do this podcast. Community events. There is a pancake breakfast. There's sports games. There's plays. I know that American High was filming at the AXA Towers this weekend for their movie that they were filming on Old Liverpool Road last week. I was dropping my son off at work, actually, and they had these humongous pickup trucks or tractor trailers that took up the entire block there of Madison. And oh my God, the equipment that they were jumping out. I am so amazed and happy that our area is getting into the filming and production, because many times before in the past, we had our local news channels or radio channels. We weren't making movies here. We didn't have, although I have to give a lot of respect to Syracuse artists, Syracuse and the Sammys, the Syracuse Area Music Awards and stuff, for the wonderful local talent that we just don't have an outlet for. Again, here I am. This is why I do what I do. I used to do this on the music side, but now I'm doing it on the community side. But For movies and television and radio for local talent, we have to go somewhere else. We got to go to New York City. We got to go to LA. We got to go to Atlanta. We have to go to another city in order to do business or be discovered by someone who can bring our talent to the next level. Well, it's great to see that here in Syracuse that we're developing our own. We should support that and embrace that. So I implore you that anytime you're able to hear or see about American High or some of your news channels to, support everything locally. Many people want to see change, but they don't do anything. Again, back to that whole point about your voice being heard. Go to Lights on the Lake and support that. Go to check out a pancake breakfast and support your American Legion, because you're really surprised at the things that they will put on for you, or that they also do as a community. It's one hand washes another. Dee's Diner is a perfect example. She has her business there, but she wants to give back to the community. So she wants to get involved with Pop Warner so that the kids here have something to do. There's a library. There's many different businesses that I know many of the people who moved here in the 50s and 60s when most of these homes were built that have been here their whole lives, raised their families here. They have memories of a time when things were so different than they are now. And they really want that back, but they just feel like it's gone. I feel like newcomer here in the past 3 years that my family's here and I'm starting out, and I see the potential. I see the wonderful potential for the parks, the area, the quality of life that can set us apart. And it really, really is going to start with you guys, the community, coming together, getting vital information about the decisions and things that are being made at the town and county and even state level. And if you're not into politics, that's okay. Go to a neighborhood watch meeting. I cannot tell you how informative sitting down at your local neighborhood watch meeting is. Do you live in Lynn Court? Get involved in the Lynn Court Neighborhood Watch. Do you live in Mattydale? Get involved in the Mattydale one. I believe that there's also a Liverpool. So there's options and ways for you to get involved that will keep your community safe. That's information that you can share with your neighbors. That's a way that you can get to know your neighbors or like-minded neighbors that you're able to network and communicate with, so you're able to come to that more common goal that you have. So just keep all of that in mind. That's what this is about. It's about really just being able to have a platform and a way to use your voice to speak about all things concerning the town of Salina, keep you informed about what's going on in the community and our news headlines, and also what our politicians are doing. What are they working on? What are they doing for you? Are they listening to you? All of those things. And I think the town of Salina is great. They're very wonderful people to work with. They're on board with upgrading and getting better technology to better serve you, updating their old codes, and asking for the community for help. I believe if you've gone to a neighborhood watch meeting before, they give you all a sheet, and so you can send them your email, give them your thoughts, your email. So what they do is they compiled a list of everyone who's came to the neighborhood watch meetings and sent the task force, the neighborhood watch guy, Ron Hoover. He's actually on the Town of Salina newly formed task force. So that's a valuable piece of information. He sends out feedback from everyone who's gone to those meetings. He wants to hear from you for your feedback. Do you know any houses that are boarded up or issues in your area? Send me a picture. Let us take a look at it. They're taking it really serious. But if it wasn't for another resident, I think he lives in the Gallaville section. I'm not certain. Don't quote me. But I can tell you that every board meeting that I've been to, he has stood up and he has spoke over the same issues again and again, and they listened. And they made him, instead of being like, oh God, this guy, they actually put him on the task force because they know that he's paying attention and he does a diligent job. And he is now working with the town, with Ron and him are the two residents on the task force to deal with these things. And, I know last night also there was some residents who were talking about junk cars piling up in parking lots down Brewerton Road, and it's just like an eyesore. Some things need to be cleaned up. Things were done and then halted. Just it's good to see the moving parts happening. A lot of things are taking place. A lot of things are happening. But if you don't get involved, then you don't know. So please keep listening, keep watching, tuning into this show each week. I will keep you informed on all streams. I'll stream the board meetings. I'll find out about the task force meetings. I will not stream the neighborhood watch meetings because that is, although a wealth of knowledge and you're available to come, it is a very community event. So neighbors share personal information sometimes with their neighbors about crimes or different things that happen, which isn't necessarily public knowledge. So out of respect and privacy for other people, that's not something that I'm trying to invade on. Sports, games, all of those things, you're going to find out things about the school districts. If you stay with the Salina Voice, that's the things that you'll stay informed on. Rather than having to follow along all of those different things, you can get all of that information right here on the Salina Voice. So I hope that you will keep listening, tune in, follow me on Twitter at the Salina Voice, the Salina Voice on Instagram, the Salina Voice on Facebook, Messenger, thesalinavoice.com on the web, the World Wide Web. And remember, you can always call us up to get live on air at 914-205-5504. And we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.